welcome to this tutorial to accompany week 3 of my picnic on the beach blanket crochet along. I'm Eleonora, the designer behind Coastal Crochet, and all the details about this blanket can be found over on my website www.coastalcrochet.com. So this tutorial is to accompany rows 3, 4, 5 and 6 in week 3 of our blanket, and it's these really gorgeous textured rows that you see here, and we create these round textured, maybe they're apples, maybe they're salad leaves, maybe they're grapes, whatever you want them to represent in your blanket, but they're just such lovely tactile textured stitches. And they're created simply by alternating raised treble back stitches, that's your back post double crochet in the US, and then your raised treble front stitches, that's your front post double crochet. Just like we did here in the basket weave rows, we're using exactly the same stitches by going around the posts of the stitches, but obviously we're alternating them in a slightly different way here, and we're also adding stitches and also bringing them in to create this lovely texture. So I will show you how to do them. So we're continuing with the top and bottom panels that we started at the end of week 2. So we did these 2 rows in the white yarn, and then we joined with yarn F at the end of the final stitch. So we now move on to the start of week 3, and we're calling it row 3 because we've done row 1, row 2 of these top and bottom panels already. So looking at the pattern, we're now at row 3, and make sure that the right side of the work is facing you. And so now looking at the pattern, we make 3 chain, 1, 2, 3, and that counts as your first treble US double crochet stitch of this row. And it's now 1 treble US double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. 1, and that's 2. And now we're at the point where we're going to be starting to make our first set of raised stitches. In the US, that's your front post or back post stitches, and this is where we're going to get the interesting texture. So looking at the pattern now, it tells us to do 5 raised treble front, that's your front post double crochet in the US, all around the next stitch. So here's the next stitch. This one here, we're not going to crochet into the stitches we normally would, we're going to crochet around the post with ordinary treble US double crochet stitches, but going around the post of that stitch rather than into the stitch. So yarn over hook, insert your hook from front to back, round to the front again, around the stem of that stitch, and then finish your treble US double crochet stitch as normal. That's 1. But we're doing 5 of these. This is 5 raised treble front or 5 front post double crochet. So we're going to do 5 of these all around the post of the same stitch. So that's 2. That's 3. I've got 2 more. It does get a little bit crowded. We've got a lot of raised stitches to crochet around this one post, but they do all fit to give us this lovely texture. So there we go. I've done 5 of the raised treble front, the front post double crochet, all around the post of that one stitch. So if I hold the work sideways, you can see they've all gone round the same post of that stitch. And now looking at the pattern, it's simply 1 treble US double crochet in each of the next 8 stitches. So here is the post of the stitch we've gone around. You can still see the top of that stitch, the little hole there is the top of that stitch, and obviously we don't want to go into that one because we've gone around the post of that stitch instead. So it's this one here, and it's 1 treble US double crochet in each of the next 8 stitches. 1, 2, 7, and 8. So here you can see now we've got this texture here plus these 8 ordinary treble US double crochet stitches. And so now looking at the pattern, we do 5 raised treble front, that's the front post double crochet, around the next stitch. So just like before, around the post of this stitch, we simply work our 5 raised trebles, or your front post double crochets in the US. It's 2 all around the same post of the stitch. Like I said before, it does get a little bit crowded, but they do all fit. That's 4. 1 more from front to back, round to the front again. And that's 5. 5 raised treble, front post double crochet, all around the post of the same stitch. And then, as before, it's now 1 treble, US double crochet in each of the next 8 stitches. And we repeat this all the way to the end of the side. So you repeat that 12 times in total to the end of the row, the 1 treble, US double crochet in each of the next 8 stitches, and then your 5 raised stitches around the next stitch. I'm on my final repeat. I've got my final set of raised stitches to do here, and then I'll be at the end of the side. So just working the final set of raised stitches. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's 5. And now looking at the pattern, we should have 3 stitches left at the end of the row to work into, and here you can see I do. We've got 1, 2, and obviously your final stitch is the top of the 3 chain from the previous row. So it's now simply 1 treble, US double crochet in each of the next 3 stitches, and then we'll be at the end of the row. So here's the final one, the top of that 3 chain. Inserting your hook under the 2 strands and working your final stitch like so. And so if you look back, you now have all these sets of raised stitches. It fans the work out, of course, it pushes the work outwards, but don't worry, because when we go on the further rows, we're going to be pulling that work back in again. And I'll show you how to do that. So now just turn the work, ready to go on to row 4. Start of row 4, make sure the wrong side of the work is facing you, and we begin with 2 chain. And this 2 chain counts as the first half treble US half double crochet stitch of this row. And that's because all of our stitches now are going to be raised stitches, either raised front or raised back. In the US, that's your front post or your back post stitches. They're all going to be raised, and when we do raised stitches where we're just crocheting around the post of the stitches and not into them as normal, it means the stitches sit a little bit lower than they normally would. And because we're working a row of treble US double crochet stitches, the first and last stitch of the row will be a half treble, half double crochet, because that's a little bit shorter and will sit more in line with the trebles US double crochets that we're working. So looking at the pattern, we've made our 2 chain, and now it's 1 raised treble front, that's your front post double crochet in the US, around each of the next 2 stitches. So the front raised stitches are where you insert your hook from the front to the back, round to the front again, and then work the treble US double crochet stitch as normal. So that's 1, and that's 2. And now we're going to do 1 raised treble back, that's your back post double crochet, around each of the next 5 stitches. And the 5 stitches we're going around are the 5 raised stitches that we made in the previous row, row 3. So each of those 5 stitches, we're now going to be doing a raised treble back, back post double crochet around. So wrap your yarn over hook as you would for an ordinary treble US double crochet, but insert your hook from the back to the front and round to the back again around the post of the first stitch. Don't be afraid to really pull your work apart, because these 5 stitches are quite bunched together, and so to really get to see the post, pull your work apart a little bit. There you can really clearly see the post of that first stitch. So insert your hook round to the back again, around the post of that stitch, and then work your treble US double crochet stitch as normal. Pull your yarn through, so you've got 3 loops on the hook, pull through 2, pull through 2. So that's one raised treble back post double crochet. We've got 5 of these to do, so yarn over hook, and now locate the next stitch in that group of 5 and insert your hook from back to front, round to the back again, and complete that treble double crochet stitch as normal. So that's 2. We've got 3 more of these raised stitches. You can see they look bunched together, but just pull apart, you can start to see them. So let's do our next one. That's 3. That's 4. There's 1 more to do. You can see it there. And that's 5. So we've done 5 raised treble back post double crochet, and you can see it's around those 5 stitches that we did in the previous row, and by doing that we're raising the texture to the front of the work. And now it's 1 raised treble front, that's your front post double crochet, around each of the next 8 stitches. So that's this group of 8 stitches between the raised stitches. We're just working the raised treble front post double crochet around each of those. 1, and there's 8. So we've done our 8 raised treble front post double crochet. If you turn the work so you can now really see the texture that's being created. And so now we're at our next set of 5 raised stitches. So looking at the pattern, we now have 1 raised treble back, that's your back post double crochet, around each of the next 5 stitches. Again, we're back at that group and we're doing our raised treble back post double crochet around each of these 5 stitches, and 5. And everything now is in brackets. We're just repeating what we've done. So it's 1 raised treble front, your front post double crochet around each of the next 8 stitches, and then it's your raised treble back post double crochet around each of these 5 raised stitches, and repeat that all the way to the end of the side. So here I am at the end of the side with my final set of raised treble back post double crochet stitches to work around. So that's 2, and the last one, that's 5. And there should be 3 stitches left to work into, 1, 2, and the top of the 3 chain. And looking at the pattern, it's 1 raised treble front, that's your front post double crochet around each of the next 2 stitches, and in the very final stitch of the row we're going to work into the top of the 3 chain from the previous row, and this is going to be an ordinary half treble US half double crochet stitch. Remember, the ordinary stitches either side of these raised stitches sit a little bit lower, hence we're doing the shorter stitch. So there we go, that's the end of row 4. This is what the wrong side looks like. We've got these sets of raised stitches. If we turn the work, I can show you what they look like on the right side. And here's what they look like from the front of the work, the right side facing, these lovely groups of textured stitches. So yes, it is pushing the work out because obviously we have more stitches in each row than what we started with. But keep going, because now on this next row we're going to be drawing these raised stitches together to create even more texture. So we'll move on to row 5, and we begin row 5 with 2 chain, and that counts as our first half treble US half double crochet stitch of this row. And now looking at the pattern, it's 1 raised treble back, so your back post double crochet around each of the next 2 stitches. Pull your work apart if you can't quite see where those stitches are, but there's the first one, and insert your hook from the back to the front, round to the back again, and finish the treble US double crochet stitch as normal. That's 1 raised treble back post double crochet and here is the second one, number 2. And so now we're at the set of 5 raised stitches. You can see them really clearly here. And what we're going to do is we're going to be doing raised treble 5 together. In the US, that's your front post double crochet 5 together. And it means we're going to be doing these 5 stitches together and bringing them into one to create some really lovely texture. I'll show you how to do that now. So yarn over hook, and then insert your hook from front to back, round to the front again, around the first stitch of those 5. Yarn over hook, pull the yarn around to the front, yarn over hook and pull through 2 loops only and stop there. And we're going to be repeating exactly that for each of the next 4 raised stitches. So yarn over hook, insert your hook from front to back, round to the front again, yarn over hook, pull through, yarn over hook and pull through 2 loops. Got 3 more of these stitches to do. Yarn over hook, insert your hook from front to back, round to the front again, yarn over hook, pull through, yarn over hook and pull through 2 loops on the hook. Yarn over hook, insert your hook from front to back, round to the front again, yarn over hook, pull the loop through, yarn over hook and pull through 2. We've done it 4 times, 1 more stitch to do. Yarn over hook, insert your hook from front to back, round to the front again, yarn over hook, pull the loop through, yarn over hook and pull through 2. And you should now have 6 loops on the hook. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And all we do now is do yarn over hook and pull through all the loops on the hook, like so. And so what we've done is we've created these 5 raised stitches and brought them together into one. So that is that lovely texture that is created. And looking at the pattern now, we simply do 1 raised treble back, back post double crochet around each of the next 8 stitches. So that's the set of 8 stitches. Between the raised stitches, we just do our raised treble back, back post double crochet around each of those. 1, 2, and here's number 8, the final one. So there we go. You can really see now that lovely texture that we're creating. And we're now at the next set of raised stitches, and so it's now raised treble front 5 stitches together. That's front post double crochet 5 stitches together. I'll show you how to do it one more time. So yarn over hook, insert your hook from front to back, round to the front again, yarn over hook, pull the loop through, yarn over hook and pull through 2, stopping there. Repeat that for each of the stitches. That's 2, that's 3, that's 4, and that's 5. Then you should have 6 loops on the hook. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yarn over hook and pull through all the loops on the hook, and you've brought those stitches together into one. And so now we simply repeat that all the way to the end of the side, doing our raised treble back around each of the 8 stitches between the raised stitches, and then bringing our 5 raised stitches together as we have done. So repeat that all the way to the end of the side. So I'm just coming up to the end of row 5, got the final set of raised stitches to do together. So raised treble front 5 stitches together, front post double crochet 5 stitches together. So just like we did before, around each of these 5 stitches. One more. And there we go. Yarn over hook, pull through all the loops on the hook. And at the end of the row, we should have 1 raised treble back to do around each of the next 2 stitches. There should be 2 stitches there to do your raised treble back around. 1, there's the last one, 2. And then the final stitch to crochet into on this row is the 2 chain that we made at the start of row 4. So yarn over hook, we're going to do a half treble US half double crochet into the top of that 2 chain, like so. And that brings us to the end of row 5. And what we've done is we've brought those raised stitches together again to create this gorgeous texture, whether these are apples or salad leaves or whatever food you want them to represent for your picnic. But they just give a really lovely raised tactile texture to our picnic on the beach blankets. So turn the work to go on to row 6, a very simple row just to finish off this set. So I'm now at the beginning of row 6 and we begin by making 2 chain, which counts as the first half treble US half double crochet stitch of this row. And all that row 6 is 1 raised treble front, that's your front post double crochet around each stitch all the way to the end of the row. Very simple, but I will just show you what to do when we get to the raised stitches that we brought together on the previous row, because that now counts as 1 stitch. These 5 stitches where we did raised treble front 5 together, we brought these 5 stitches together into 1, and so that is now 1 stitch that we will crochet around. So it's 1 raised treble front post double crochet around each stitch to the end of the side. So there's 1, here's another 1, and now we're at our first set of raised stitches. So I'll just show you what to do. It counts as 1 stitch, so insert your hook from the front right round the top of all those 5 stitches which we brought together into 1, all the way round, yarn over, pull round to the front, and then obviously finish your treble US double crochet stitch as normal. And so we've just treated that group of 5 stitches that we brought together into 1 stitch, we're treating that as 1 stitch on this row. And so continue all the way to the end. So I'm just coming to the end of the row, working these raised treble front post double crochet around each stitch, and here's the final large one to go around. That counts as the 1 stitch, and then after that one there will be 2 raised stitches left to do. And the very final stitch to crochet into on row 6 is the top of the 2 chain from the previous row, and we work a half treble US half double crochet into that stitch, but we are at this point joining with yarn C. So the last stage of the stitch, which is here, our last pull through, we're going to join with yarn C, ready to move on to row 7. And there we go, that's the end of row 6, and this is what it looks like at the back. And if we turn the work, I'll show you how it's looking at the front. And here it is. So by alternating those raised stitches to front and back, front post and back post stitches, we have created this absolutely gorgeous texture. Really like these stitches and the effect it creates, and I hope you found the tutorial helpful. Thanks for watching.